So aside from Mania's information, we got a bit more of Forces,
Hmm.
especially a new trailer featuring Infinite, and we actually see the in-game cutscenes.
Yeah. Well, we got that as well as the music track for him as well.
Yeah, and the actual lyrical version of Fist Bump, which apparently
Yeah.
a lot of people now say it sounds too cringy. All the Sonic songs will sound fucking cringy, okay? Have you sat back and listened to Sonic Heroes? Actually, any of the songs in Sonic Heroes?
Yeah, exactly.
They actually mention the characters.
Yeah.
I am all of me, all hail Shadow.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, get the other
I'm
character.
going to get this out of the way as well, one more thing. Well, two more things, actually. First of all, if you actually listen to Night of the Wind and Platonic of Black Knight, it spoils the ending of the game. As I stand by the table I command, my kingdom, I am that of the wind. It pretty much explicitly told you that Sonic was King Arthur. Second of all, the fact that it's not Crush 40. Seriously? Aside from Black Knight, they haven't done a main series game since... Oh, actually, technically Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
I know, fair enough, they were in Sonic 06, but it wasn't the main fucking theme. It was a cover of All Hail Shadow by Magnify.
Yeah.
They did Black Knight, but that was a spin-off. Apparently, they don't count.
Yeah. Well, to most people.
They were in Unleashed. They did a remix of the Zero Gravity theme and did a remix of the Sonic Free Riders theme.
Mm.
And the actual re-recordings of Live and Learn and City Escape in Sonic Generations doesn't fucking count either.
Yeah. Well, that said, though, I mean, there was recently, at the same time as Comic-Con, they recently did something called The Sounds of Sonic, which was kind of like a mini band playing some of the songs. And people did been asking about, since the whole Fist Bump song, is like, are Crush 40 involved? And they have said, well, maybe. And again, they've also mentioned before that they don't do gigs unless Sega allows them to do them, like live gigs. So, I don't know. I mean, for all we know, maybe they have something involved for Forces later on. We don't know yet, but, you know.
They could do their own cover of Fist Bump.
Exactly. I mean,
at best, you got your own cover of Fist Bump.
Exactly, yeah.
But anyway, the trailer for Infinite, first of all, the graphics look fucking great, and this looks better than Unleashed. Graphically, it looks better than Unleashed.
Yeah, the Hedgehog engine has definitely been beefed up.
And as far as the story goes, we still don't know.
Yeah. Well, saying that, there's a few things that we see in the trailer. First of all, we get a sequence in which, I'm guessing it's the first time Sonic's...
We get somewhat of an... First of all, the beginning of it shows a black and white AMV.
Yeah.
It does show briefly what seems to be your custom character pointing at Infinite.
Yeah.
So there may be some connections there of your custom character.
Yeah. But I'm saying the main sequence is, I'm guessing it's probably like what we've seen of the playable demo where you're supposed to meet up with Shadow, and maybe this is the next scene in which supposedly the first time Sonic and Tails see Infinite and subsequently find out that this thing is really, really powerful. And it's also funny because the first time we actually get to see Eggman, because funny for most of the game, even though they said he's taken over the world, they've not shown him unless you count the poster for the game and the tiny sequence in what we got from the trailer. So it is funny to see him now, considering that he's meant to be still the main threat of the game.
So, who knows?
Oh wait, sorry. I just realised he was also in the Egg Dragoon boss fight in Classic Sonic as well. So
yeah.
Maybe.
So we don't. So as far as the story goes as to why and how he's able to take over, and why and how, also why Shadow's evil, Metal Sonic's there, Zavok's there, which means his Lost World is canon for some fucking reason. And Chaos is there, which I'm still fucking confused about.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, oh, there's a glitch in the animation where you can see through Chaos. Chaos has always been see-through.
Yeah, he's made of water. That's the point of it.
And also people say, oh, Shadow's probably mind control because he doesn't have any shine in his eyes. It's like, you do know that the shine in the eyes comes from the sun, right? It's just a little visual detail that anime's been doing for years. Whenever a character, they have highlights in their eyes. Basically, that's basically just a visual gag. Yeah,
and also the fact
maybe I don't know. I still have a theory of saying how these are taken from different multiple timelines or any dimensions. Like Shadow's still evil. He actually joined the Black Arms, and this is a different Shadow. This is Chaos, this is Chaos who when he actually wasn't
corrupted yet.
Wasn't yeah, he still is corrupted, but it wasn't purified.
Yeah.
Zavok wasn't defeated and actually took over the planet and actually absorbed its life force.
Yeah, actually,
Metal Sonic is just Metal Sonic.
Yeah, Metal Sonic is basically the stun hard Terminator killer thing. That's basically what he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny when people have been talking about, like, is Shadow now an enemy? It's like, well, really, the whole point of Shadow, he's an anti-hero. You know, the idea is that he arguably does the right thing, but he's never going to do it the same way the real heroes are going to do it. And arguably, he's going to do it in his own crazy moral way. So arguably, I never see Shadow really. I've always saw Shadow as an angry rival to Sonic, and really, he could easily just be a villain again because he was that was the whole point of him. He was an anti-Sonic.
Meant to be a tragic character. It's meant to be killed off killed off about 15 years ago, but who cares?
Exactly, yeah. So if anything else, you know, at this point, it's basically whatever Sonic Team want him to be, he's going to be that basically. As you said before.
Also, I forgot the Metal Sonic could have easily been Neo Metal and took over in Sonic Heroes.
Exactly, yeah. So, like you said, the central premise of the thing, going back to the black and white thing, I'm pretty sure the idea with this thing, and again, I've got an interesting little idea of who it could be. The idea, I think, with Infinite is that the idea is that Eggman is once again doing the whole time eater thing, except this time it's going right, and he's using this being who can not only distort time, but he can go into different dimensions. So arguably, he can influence what happened in those events.
So it's a combination of Time Eater mixed with Solaris.
Exactly. So basically, he has the ability to literally stop time, and I'm guessing particularly since he's that quick, you know, he could arguably just like say Sonic's about to punch him in the face, he can easily just then move his arm and trip his leg over, so he could just fall flat on his face. So this thing is so powerful that he can influence history and time and space.
Yeah, and again, possibly bringing in different versions of characters. It tends to be that there's two Shadows. Who knows?
Who knows? Like you said, you know, this is probably, as you said, maybe this is the side character. You know, the fact we're getting to see some of the side villains again is probably that this is from a world where they've actually succeeded in their plans. And this is now just pulling it into Eggman's full plan of world domination on a full scale.
Yeah, but it was like, oh, hey, these Shadows got an opportunity to actually avenge, like, I don't know, wiped his mind, travel back in time, whatever. And that's the reason why he's evil, because he actually just said at the end, join the uprising. Yeah.
Again, you know, I've never really saw Shadow as a main hero. He's, like I said, he's the anti-hero, but whatever. It's the same thing. I will say this. One of the two things I want to point out with Infinite is, one, the look, because recently I managed to get the Artists on the Hedgehog book, which, if any of you remember that, but, you know, it was announced like back last year, and I think the orders came up back in like September. And only now they've finally started to come out. I mean, they come out in the European. I'm not sure on the US side of things, because you did a pre-order, didn't you?
The Sonic Art book?
Yes.
The new one?
Yes.
No.
No? Oh. All right, but like I said, it took a while. I mean, I think they delayed it for half a year or whatever. But anyway, I recently got it. And one of the pages does show off Shadow, and particularly one of the early designs was, and it's sort of floating on the internet, so you might be able to see it, but one of the early designs was essentially they had this sort of demonic-looking Sonic where sort of the eyes, I mean, eye or whatever you want to call it, basically, like one side of it was like a scarred eye that was whited out, and the other one was just like red, really redded with like a lizard iris. This is one of the design. And surprisingly enough, this is what they seem to do with Infinite. They took in a concept they had like a decade ago and now put it into this guy or thing or whatever you want to call it. And secondly, going back to, all right, now I'm guessing at this point, and you know, call this a fear or whatever, but I'm not going to make a 30-minute video of it because I can't do that type of thing. But anyway, I have a theory that what we're going to see with Infinite, they're going to do sort of an Arkham Knight thing with us, in which they'll tell us this is a new character in terms of what it is when we see it is a new character and design, but it's somebody that we've seen before in the universe. And again, the question is, who could it be? I've said Sonic Boom, but the other one I did think, and this might make you giggle, Dan, what if this is not a corrupted Blaze?
Possibly.
Because I also got to ask you this question, because what we've seen in the gameplay video as well, with the little intercom things, with the characters talking, Blaze has not shown up in any of those sequences, has she?
Well, she's from another dimension. Is Silver is trying to save the future?
Yeah.
Blaze from another dimension, who knows?
Yeah. But generally speaking, if this was to be any of the other characters, I mean, Blaze could be a likely candidate, because you said she's from another dimension. Arguably, what would happen is after generations, they somehow capture her, as I said, brainwashed her, then corrupted her with maybe the Time Eater and power infused with her own abilities. And now she has this immense power to sort of crack time and space.
Bit of a stretch. I'm guessing it's your own custom character or something similar, like it's a history, or maybe it's like it's more meta than we think, and this is the amalgamation of the hate Sonic has.
Probably. I mean, that'd be really meta. If that
Like
was the
it could
thing.
be like the actual like Nazo.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah. Although one thing I think some people might point out as well is that the name Infinite, some people, again, going back to CD, because there was famously a screen in which it said fun is infinite. And there was this image of...
I pointed that out ages ago.
Yeah. So again, this is probably their attempt to do like a cheeky Easter egg joke at that. And who knows, maybe they might put it in the game as a, some like maybe as a weird sort of, you went to a weird dimension where you fight all infinite. But again, it is interesting that they're starting to show off a bit more of the game, and like you said, the fact that this is meant to be the main threat along with Eggman.
Yeah, how much you want to bet that this Infinite's going to take over and get too big for his own boots and kick Eggman to the curb?
Well, let's be fair, Eggman's always doing this. He's always trying to unleash some ultimate power that he can control, and obviously he's going to get out of hands and the world's going to get screwed, and it's up to a blue hedgehog to stop him.
Yeah, it's only not happened in Colors and Generations, unless you want to count the DS version of Colors, which I don't.
All right. But generally speaking, whenever Eggman tries to take over the world, it normally involves him doing something extremely dangerous and could screw up everything else.
At least in Lost World, he thought ahead thinking, yeah, I know these people, like these Zeddies going to backstab me, so I got a plan for it.
Yeah, and then Sonic was the one who kind of screwed it up for him the first time around.
Yeah, at least he was like, at least he was prepared for it. It's like, Sonic's probably going to arrive and fuck this up, so I might as well have a backup plan. He actually had a backup plan.
Yes, he's learning for once.
That's the only thing I can say that's pretty good about the Sonic Lost World story. Eggman had a backup plan.
Eggman actually thought ahead for what he was going to do.
Well, you would think, like, from Chaos, okay, the Space Colony Arc and a Bio-Lizard wasn't his fault.
No,
he got fucked over on that one.
Well, basically, he's the one who found out about it and unleashed it. But then again, that's what I mean. Is like he finds this and think, I could take this as an advantage. Then nope, it all gets out of hand.
Sonic Heroes wasn't his fault. That was Metal Sonic.
Yeah.
Sonic 06 was fucking his. It was his fault because he went to control time, and guess what? Mephiles fucked him over.
Yeah.
Then
Unleash is definitely his fault.
Unleash is his fault. He cracked open the planet to unleash Dark Gaia. Guess what? Dark Gaia is way too fucking powerful to control.
Yeah.
Which it sounds very similar. Oh yeah, it's exactly the same as Chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos got too powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, but essentially, as we said, the basic problem is Eggman has always tried to find ways to take over the world by unleashing or discovering a power that he thinks he can control, but doesn't always work. I mean, I think actually Generations is the one time he actually kind of worked, because at least he got the thing built as a machine.
Yeah, because it was a dormant power. It wasn't a sentient thing.
It wasn't. Yeah, so basically through him and his past self, he could actually control this thing.
And it's like Colors, he basically stole the power from the Wisps.
Yeah.
So there you go. That was only two times. Yeah. It was only two times the actual power he found. It didn't fuck him over.
Yeah.
Other than sending, people would say, well, about the White Void and the End of Generations. Well, that's Sonic's fault.
Well, basically, that's what happens when you're in a machine that basically controls time and space. If that breaks, well, anything can happen.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, I think one thing I really want to mention about with the thing with Forces is, like, as I said before with Mania, is that the attitude of these two games is that my attitude to Mania is that it's going to work. There's not really anything I'm worried about it or feel like, maybe this won't.
As the worst Mania could do is have very shit level design and maybe some shit music.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that worries me the most is whether or not the game is brilliant and people love it, except when I play it, I'm just like, don't think it's that good, which that's my only main fear is basically, the game is great for what it is, it's just I don't happen to find it fun.
A lot of people are going to have the mindset, it's going to be better than Sonic 4.
Yeah, no, that's the attitude. That's the attitude.
This is my Sonic 4.
This is the real Sonic 4, yeah, that whole thing, which, whatever. I'll then have the fucking cake and eat it, and then we'll smack them in the heads when they're not looking.
Yeah, with the hammer inside the cake.
Exactly. But with Forces, again, my attitude with Forces is that I do feel like what they're trying to do with this game is take the basis in which there is this thing that could distort history and mess everything up. And the idea this time around was in Generations, it was an excuse to say, let's revisit these levels and let's have a thin excuse to going back to them. Like, what is the reason? Here's a thin plot line to explain it. This one's much more about, we're going to do it on a much bigger scale, more in depth and more integrate. But it does worry me a little bit because, again, the plots in Sonic games have often been one of the biggest problems. In fact, I still remember Game Trailer's review of Generations saying that, oh, it was mocking all the previous games as plots and not trying to take itself seriously. And it's like, yes, exactly. That was their idea. And I am a little worried about with Forces that their ambitions is they want to actually tell a story this time in a similar vein to what Generations had, but much more fleshed out. But it's going to come off either hokey, goofy, and just like, oh, God, they won't ever shut up the idiots. So that's my only worry. Again, I think the game is going to be fine.
Yeah, like it's going to be a good game. It's like, aside from the story being different and you got a custom character, you like Generations, right? Well, here's Generations 2.0.
Exactly. I mean, really, if anything else, you've asked for this. I mean, it took a while to get there, but really, this is what you wanted. And if you're not happy now, well, you got Mania at least, and then we'll sit in the corner crying ourselves to figure what we're going to do with the rest of our lives.
Yep.
Yeah. But like I said, I am optimistic. I want to be hopefully optimistic to Forces. That isn't to say I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be the best game ever. It's like, look, it could easily disappoint me as anything else in the world. But I'm not going to cry over it if it happens to be the game I think it was not going to be. But I want it to be fun for what it is. Yeah. That's basically what I'm saying. I know Mania is probably going to be great, and I want it to be great. I want to believe the hype as much as everybody else, but I am very aware that it could easily disappoint me in some way or manner. And that could be anything. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to play it, so who knows? Same with Forces. Again, if the game manages to do this whole thing of you've got 3 distinct play styles and manage to pull them off so well that this, again, opens the floodgates to where they can go next, I'm happy.
Yeah, get a Mania 2 or get what they call... Originally, Mania was going to be called Sonic Discovery. So, who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, it's looking good. I mean, like I said, we try to be optimistic, and so far, the attitude is... I mean, put it this way. I mean, on the Sega social media, when they announced they were going to Comic-Con, they put a picture of, like, here's Sega's booth, and it was a dumpster pile of things. So... they're aware that people have that attitude of this is all going to be dog shit. So they're aware of it, and they're trying their best to at least say, we know your game. We'll play it as long as we can until we prove ourselves we can actually be good.
Yeah, Sonic Forces probably expect to be released in November anyway.
Yeah.
It says holiday 2017. It's going to be November. It's always November. It always comes out in November.
Yeah, November time, basically. So whether or not this ends up coming at the same time as Odyssey, who knows, but whatever.